All right. Happy Monday, beautiful people. Happy Monday. It is May the 9th, 2022, day 103 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1121. Today, we're going to pick up in chapter 10. Yep, chapter 10 on page 75 of the Oahspe. And then we're going to pick up where we left off in the meditation book on page 114. All right, y'all, let's get started. Let's get going. Father, we thank you for another day to learn the truth and apply it to our lives. All right, y'all. So chapter 10. Yeah, chapter 10. Okay, page 75. Top right-hand side of the page. Jehovah said, Neph, my son, God of earth, hear thou the voice of thy Creator. For as thou callest on me in thy sore hour of trial, so did I come to thee and deliver the earth and heaven through my son, the ark of Noah in Ethera. Remember now the upraised of Huatan, heaven of darkness, and Uklu in the firmament, for they are thine until the next Dan appeareth on the earth. Divine blessings. God said, I have heard thy voice, O Jehovah, but what shall thy servant do? Behold, thy ark son, hath left with the upraised children of darkness, gods and goddesses who transcend thy servant so far in wisdom and power that he scarce can look upon them. How then shall it be with me, thy servant? Jehovah said, Nevertheless, the upraised children of darkness are thine own family, and the glory of thy house in heaven shall be the light thou shalt make manifest in them. Fear not, the gods and goddesses understand this matter. Mom, shalom, shalom. Therefore, when thou hast put thy kingdom in order and established the heaven of earth in all its parts, and stationed messengers betwixt thy throne and the thrones of thy lords on the earth, behold, thou shalt leave thy vice God to rule in thy stead for a season, and thou shalt go to Huatan in the Etherian forest, for thou shalt be expected of them. God said, Thy will be done, O Father. I perceive thy wisdom and glory and justice. Now will I sojourn on my throne 1 year, and thou, my vice God, shall relieve me whilst I go and visit my rebellious children in Uklu, where gods and goddesses are overseeing them. The vice God said, Thy will be done, God of heaven and earth. So it came to pass that in 1 year's time, God had established heaven in such a good manner that he could control the affairs of angels and men into the way of everlasting life. God informed his council, which consisted of 500,000 Etherians, men and women, of the words of Jehovah, adding thereunto. And for 1 year will I remain in Huatan, that I may become known to them whom I have risen. But at the end of that time I will return hither, and bring with me such new volunteers as Jehovah may command. It was known in heaven that God would leave at the proper time, and to honor him in Jehovah's name, his hosts from far and near, to the number of 10 million, came to see him depart. And when God saw them, he proclaimed a day of recreation. And the people mingled together, and especially to reconverse on the matter of the deliverance of the earth and heaven, and the going down of Pan as it had been. On the following day, all hands being refreshed and assembled in order according to the discipline of gods, God spake from the throne, saying, Hear the words of your God, and rejoice in the founding of a new heaven. Be wise in heeding that which I shall utter, and make yourselves steadfast in all proven things. Here are millions who stood by my side in the name of the Creator in the days of darkness in heaven and earth. For 3,000 years our battle lasted, and from the darkness, behold, our prayers went up to him who is over all and above all. And your God said, Surely Jehovah will deliver when the vortex mergeth into Hydan, and ye all repeated the same thing, and the unity of our souls desire And the unity of our soul's desire reached up to the Orion chiefs, Jehovah's mighty sons and daughters. For as it is proven that a man in conflict with himself accomplishes nothing, whilst he who is in harmony with himself is mighty, wherein he ruleth himself to a good purpose. Even so hath it been proven that the unity of many angels can, by force of their own wills, control the place and proceedings of a world. Let me read that again. That was good. Shayla, that's why we great rising. Verse 13. For as it is proven that a man in conflict with himself accomplishes nothing, right? Somebody who is divided within himself, you cannot do anything. You're too confused. That's good. For as it is proven that a man in conflict with himself accomplishes nothing, whilst he who is in harmony with himself is mighty, wherein he ruleth himself to a good purpose, even so hath it been proven that the unity of many angels can, by force of their own wills, control the place and proceedings of a world. And by your faith in this matter with your God, ye became a star of faith in Jehovah, which is the mastering of all things to his glory. And they who were without and all highest in person were without power and of no effect, save to build up discord to our proceedings. Whilst those who assumed to be gods and lords, but ignored Jehovah, were not sustained, for having nothing higher than themselves, they only roused. Let me read again. Whilst those who assumed to be gods and lords, but ignored Jehovah, were not sustained, for having nothing higher than themselves, they rose only to themselves, which is manifested on earth, even as it was in those days in heaven, boasting of good works or of good prayers, but housing themselves about with the earnings of others. Did not these false gods and false lords set up self and worship it, and the fruits of their inspiration, and their slaves under them, were the angels they sent to rule over mortals for the glory of their philosophy, wherein mortals also soon said the same things of themselves, which was, Behold, there is no God nor Lord of wisdom in heaven and earth. I thought I heard my child in the hall.
Mom,
Yes, Tootie.
where are you going to go after?
We're going to the warehouse shortly. Whereby the doctrines of the false gods. What, Tootie?
I can come.
Yes. Whereby the doctrines of the false gods and lords overturn even their own kingdoms, changing heaven into Hada. But when the light of Jehovah came, ye and your gods and lords were one with his voice, wherefore ye have been preserved in victory. And now hath it come to pass that your God and lords have established a new heaven and a new earth for the glory of the Father. And he who labored so long in your love now goeth to the other wing of the battle, where your brethren, toiling with those in darkness, will rejoice to hear of your fruitful labors. Then God turned to his right and said to Eolek, vice god of Jehovah, because thou wert robbed of thy division of the earth, even whilst thou wert in good works, Jehovah hath bestowed thee well. Thou shalt therefore hold the triangle of the gods of heaven until thy God returneth. Thereupon God hung the triangle on Eolek's neck, saying, In Jehovah's name, all hail, God of heaven and earth. The host of millions repeated, All hail, God of heaven and earth. And God came down and sat at the foot of the throne in the custom of gods. And he who had been anointed came down and took his hand, saying, Arise, O God, and go thy way. And God rose up, and the two, with their marshals and attendants, went down by the borders at the line of the pillars of fire, where the proper persons had a ship with mantles and curtains in readiness, and God and his hosts, even 500,000 in number, entered the ship. Meanwhile, the Essenars sang an appropriate anthem of glory to Jehovah the highest. At a given signal, the ship started upward amidst the applause of millions of angels assembled, and like a star, it shot upward higher and higher till it was seen no more. All right, y'all, chapter 11. Uncle JB, blessings. Auntie, blessings. Robin, beautiful day in Ashah, righteousness and truth. Shalom. All right, chapter 13. The council of Horeb being still in season, God, that is, Eolate, ascended the throne. Yeah, I think they say Eolate. Eolait. It just sounds funny. Eolate. Okay. The council of Horeb being still in session, God, that is, Eolate, ascended the throne. And the light of Jehovah fell upon God, so that he was well nigh obscured from sight. And the voice of Jehovah spake, saying, Hear ye my voice, as by my presence, and of mine own self I made each self, and gave thereto power of words. So am I in light, manifest by soul words to my Ethereal host. As to the lords of the earth, ye have provided Ashars, and above them Asaphs, and betwixt all my kingdoms allotted messengers. So shall ye also provide for barbarians, familiar spirits, who shall be subject to the order of the Ashars and their lords. I created alive all men, whether Ehines or barbarians, and your labor shall be not alone with my chosen, whom it is easy to save, but with those also who know me not, and know not my worlds. For besides those destroyed by the flood, behold, the earth is still covered over with men, women, and children. In the time of Af, ye received the volunteers from Oahspe in Ethera. Give them this matter in hand. This was done, and they were divided.
It's me. I thought y'all was gonna help me without.
Son, we're about to go to the warehouse shortly, and I gotta drop this vehicle off. What are you doing? We can talk about this in a second. You screenshot that to me already.
You already read it?
I already read it. So you want to choose another program?
No. I want to do Toyota. I want to do Mopar.
Mopar is the only thing that's open right now. That's what they said. The Toyota program is closed.
I thought that
They got a wait. That's what they said. No, they got a wait list for that. Okay, so turn it off, son.
No.
I am live. Go get your brethren up, because we're about to leave shortly. We got to go drop off the vehicle and get to the warehouse. Elijah already go?
Are you dropping me off on the... No. Yeah, you dropping me off on the job site.
I could. Get out. I'm almost... Look, I'm not almost done, but bye. Better turn it down.
All right, will you be able to watch
Get your brethren together. Just go. Go. Sorry. Better turn it down. Okay. Go ahead. Turn it down a little bit. Still kind of loud. Okay. Verse 4. In the time of Af, ye receive volunteers from Oahspe in Ethera. Give them this matter in hand. This was done, and they were divided up into groups. Bella, turn it down, please, and thank you. Adre Shalom, oh great spirit, good day, peace and blessings from us to you, peace and blessings. Okay, and this was done, and they were divided up into groups, and the Corporeans, having already numbered by the angels of heaven, the Etherians were distributed accordingly, and these again selected and apportioned familiar spirits to abide with the barbarians. And these familiar spirits were the fathers and mothers and friends. Oh. See, I be having, although it's been a few months now since I had an encounter with the familiar spirit, right? But I knew what familiar spirits were and had encountered them. Listen to this. And these familiar spirits were the fathers and mothers and friends who had recently died but still sojourned in the first resurrection. So the officers provided places on earth for these spirits and persuaded them to reappear before mortals in order to prove continued life, but the officers never showed themselves. Jehovah hath said, provide either way, but cause the familiars to do the labor. Neither shall ye make a familiar spirit of the neither shall ye make a familiar of the spirit. Hold on, what? Did I read it right? Okay, I'll read it again. Okay, verse 6. Jehovah hath said, provide either way, but cause the familiars to do the labor. Neither shall ye make a familiar of the spirit of a young man or a young woman, lest they become fetals. So it came to pass that a new department of heaven and earth was opened and set on foot during the absence of Neph, and in 1 year the matter was in prosperity. At the end of 1 year, God returned from the Huatan colony, bringing with him 5 million volunteers, being of the third resurrection. And it being known in Horeb when he would return, a great concourse of angels gathered together to receive him in honor and to welcome the volunteers, so that when God's Etherian star descended, the vice god, Eolate, proclaimed a recreation of 10 days, which was to follow immediately after God should ascend the throne and regain his presence. And so, whilst the Essenars were singing, the star alighted, and the marshals and the hosts of honor proceeded to the places and received God, who at once ascended to the throne and saluted Eolate, son of Jehovah, saying, what? You can't choose to just waitlist. Bye.
What should I do?
That's dope. It's your choice, son. You can choose to change the program or go on a wait list. Verse 10. By thy will and power, O Jehovah, thy son rejoiceth in the time of this proceeding. Eolate said, welcome, God of heaven and earth. He saluted with the sign of Jehovah's name and was answered in like manner. Without more ceremony, he took off the triangle of the gods and placed it on God's neck, saying, in Jehovah's name, receive thou the gift of the ancient gods. Hardly had this been accomplished when the starship alighted to the floor of the Congress before the council and near the altar of Jehovah, and the 5 million volunteers alighted amidst the applause of many millions assembled. And after starship, it has reference number 6, and starship says, all subsequent similar changes between the two editions have not been footnoted. See editor's note number 5. Okay, starship here. Oh, okay. It says starship up here in the current version, but down in the footnotes, it says ship star. All right. So am I going back over there with your brothers?
Yeah, I just came over here to get them my washcloth.
Oh, okay. Jeremiah, let's go. Because Elijah's left them over there.
Oh, Mark, there's no more washcloths after these.
I'll get some more.
You get some more?
Yeah.
All right, brother. See you later, all right? Love you.
Everybody got to do their good morning hugs and kisses. All right, come on, Jeremiah, go.
That Jeep is on E.
All right.
All right.
All right, love you.
Love you too.
All right, I'm dropping it off shortly.
All right, how long?
All right, son, have a good day.
Yeah, no problem. What time y'all gonna be getting back to the room?
We ain't gonna be out that long.
Okay.
It's a truck there now. We gotta get loaded up for, that good stuff.
All right,
Just call when you're on your way.
I'm boy.
All right, Jeremiah. Bye.
See, I'm the favorite.
No, you're not. Go.
Oh, wow.
You're all favorites. Go.
Oh, that's your way of covering?
Yes, everybody is my favorite.
Y'all know y'all don't believe her.
Bye. Bye, Jeremiah. Go on over there. Bye, Elijah.
Come on, bro.
All right, y'all. Sorry. Chapter 12. Where we at? 20 minutes? Okay, chapter 12. The voice of Jehovah spake through God, saying, because a new heaven is established, and because the old hath risen. I'm sorry. Hold on. Ship star. I didn't read the last verse. I did the ship star, starship thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go back up to verse 12. It's 13 verses in this in chapter 11. I'll start at 12. Hardly had this been accomplished when the starship, and down in a footnote is just switching it around to ship star. Hardly had this been accomplished when the starship alighted in the floor of Congress before the council and near the altar of Jehovah, and the 5 million volunteers alighted amidst the applause of many millions assembled. God, being reinstated, said, let the marshals proclaim 10 days of recreation, for we shall account to our especial loves how we found matters in Huatam and of the power of Jehovah manifested. Chapter 12. The voice of Jehovah spake through God, saying, because a new heaven is established, and because the old hath been raised up, let signs be manifested, whereby men and angels in after times may know what hath happened. For it shall come to pass in later days that men and angels may forget the flood and the purging of the earth. Bethink ye, O gods and goddesses, what shall be done. Eolate spoke in behalf of the council, saying, what shall we do, O Jehovah? And Jehovah answered, saying, because I come near the earth in its early days, and farther off as it groweth older, men will say, alas, the folly of the ancients. For I gave fear and faith as a heritage when men were weak in judgment. But with the growth of wisdom, I take away fear and the substance of things not proven to the judgment. Jehovah said, in Cosmon, men and angels shall ask for proofs. One will say, how is it possible to relate the words spoken in the olden time? Another will say, how can it be proven that the old heaven was taken away? Hear therefore the words of your Creator. And when one saith, behold, in those days few men had the gift of words and speech, answer ye him, saying, even so was it in heaven, and because they had not words, they could not be made to understand. And another shall say, the Creator ruleth in large matters, but not in the small. And another shall say, because the angels come in Cosmon, so could they in the olden time. And ye shall answer them, saying, who knoweth the plan for an earthquake, whether it be small or large before Jehovah? Is he not ever present? And do not certain conditions bring certain results? And they will answer, okay, son, have a good day. Thanks. And do not certain conditions bring certain results? And they will answer, yea. Say ye, give then a name to the highest cause beyond all research. And they will say, by the ancients called Jehovah. And they shall perceive that they have entangled themselves in a net. For if the condition of ignorance on the earth begot ignorance in heaven, how could the light of heaven come afterward to the earth, save from above? Since then the light of heaven came from above, who should invent the wisdom of a flood to come upon the speech of nations? Give them therefore words in heaven and words on earth, which are of matters of this nature, and make the sounds thereof sacred, so that it shall be proven in Japheth, Shem, and Ham, and Guatama, and in the heavens thereunto belonging, the voice of Jehovah ceased. And so this right here with those 4 names, here's what we have left out of the Bible scriptures. We have Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? Anybody, when you reading through it, have you ever wondered about where was America in all of this? They conveniently removed Guatama. Was it Guatama? Yeah, Guatama, which is the Americas, right? So we clearly all through it, even in excuse me, in Apocrypha, we see the lands of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Matter of fact, I think it's in Jubilees chapter 10 or 12. It's Jubilees. I want to say Jubilees. Let's just say I think it's between chapters 9 and 12. It's one of them chapters, which I'm almost almost certain it's chapter 10, but don't quote me. I ain't read it in a little while. But in one of them chapters between Jubilees chapter 9 and 12, it talks about after the flood how the lands were divided up, and then of course named after Noah's sons, right? Shem, Ham, and Japheth. But they leave out the land of Gautama. They just don't give the whole story all in all. So while you're reading, everybody thinking that America doesn't even exist. You always talking about the other three corners, but it talks about going to the four corners, but they never named the fourth corner, right? Let's just conveniently remove it. So, but you have to wonder as you begin your studying, even if you only in the Bible, right? And then you move to the Apocrypha reading, you have to wonder about the fourth corner, right? That's what I began doing. I'm like, four corners, well, where's the fourth corner, right? Where was America in all of this? America is not the new world. America is really the old world, right? Okay. Verse 7. Give them therefore words in heaven and words on earth, which are of matters of this nature, and make the sounds thereof sacred, so that it shall be proven in Japheth and Shem and Ham and Gautama, and in the heavens thereunto belonging, the voice of Jehovah ceased. God said, Thou art all wisdom, O Jehovah. Now I have a place for the new volunteers come from Ethera, for this shall be their matter and business with the familiars who dwell with the barbarians. So accordingly they were allotted, and they were enjoined in singing mortals the song of the flood. And they were enjoined to sing to mortals the song of the flood. And they thus establish its history to endure forever on earth. We at 27 minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and read chapter 13. Chapter 13. All things prospered in heaven for many years, nor were there great wars on earth, nor famines, nor epidemics. And the Lord of the earth had sufficient Lewis for all the faithists, so as to control Ehim marriages, to bring forth sons and daughters who would rejoice in heaven. And as fast as they died on earth, these angels were carried to heavenly places, suited to them, where they were handed into the care of Asaph and entered as Esians. But the Lord appointed no Lewis over the barbarian, and only commanded the Ashars to watch for their spirits in the hour of death, and if possible, to bring them to the organic places of God in Horeb. And mostly they were brought so. This continued for many years. But in the course of time, the familiar spirits aroused up the barbarians, and they began to have dreams and see visions, for their familiars talked to them during sleep. And when this became common, Jehovah said, Behold, the time is come to appoint Lewis to abide with the barbarians. For herein will I reveal a great secret, which is that my chosen on earth cannot subdue it, for they are a harmless and defenseless people. Therefore have I created the barbarian wisely, for he shall drive away and destroy all evil beasts and serpents, and the forest shall fall down before him. For this purpose the Lewis shall select marriages with the view of raising up great kings and queens. But since in the olden time the kings depended on the prophet of God for counsel, and thus was advised against killing anything that I had created alive, they quarreled. So in this time of the new heaven, ye shall permit the kings and queens to consult the spirits of the dead with the talents I have given them. Let me read it again. I'll go back to verse 3. Behold, the time is come to appoint the Lewis to abide with the barbarians. For herein will I reveal a great secret, which is that my chosen on earth cannot subdue it, for they are a harmless and defenseless people. Therefore have I created the barbarian wisely, for he shall drive away and destroy all evil beasts and serpents, and the forest shall fall down before him. For this purpose the Lewis shall select marriages with the view of raising up great kings and queens. But since in the olden time the kings depended on the prophets of God for counsel, and thus were advised against killing anything I had created alive, they quarreled. So in this time of the new heaven, ye shall permit the kings and queens to consult the spirits of the dead with the talents I have given them. This was done also, and the barbarians were attended by familiar spirits, many of whom took upon themselves any name pleasant to the ear, some of them calling themselves God or Lord, or after the name of some great king of olden time. And these familiars, being stupid, supposed themselves to be such persons. The result of their stupid impressions was to inspire the barbarians to believe they were attended by gods or lords, or by the spirits of kings or queens, and so they held up their heads and began to think. For as it had been said by the gods of ancient times, some are led in flattery, some by self-conceit, some by duty, some by love of righteousness, but there are others who can be led to self-improvement by persuading them they are chosen, especially by some god or lord, or the spirit of a renowned king or queen, to work wonders. God said, there was a certain sick man who could not be cured by the physicians. So there came a foolish woman, seeing visions, and said to the sick man, tomorrow thou shalt be healed. God hath been trying thee, but thou hast proven thyself in soul, and thy God will withdraw the spell of thy infirmity. Behold, thy God standeth by thee. Now on the following day, the sick man put forth his own spirit, and rose up, and was well. Wherefore it hath been adjudged, even deceit may accomplish what truth could not. Ooh, he just had to trick his mind, right? So that was good. And not saying that you should be deceitful, right? Let Yah and his wisdom decide who can be deceitful and who not. But listen to this. And sometimes, look, just like some people, just think about it. People who get the diagnosis that they have cancer, they could be in good spirits, so they go get their annual check or something, and the doctor tell them something that tells them that something is wrong with them. Then all of a sudden, almost like overnight, they literally become sick, right? Remember when we was reading through that CIA document, and it was talking about the left brain hemisphere and the right brain hemisphere, and the left brain is literally like the guard that's on duty. If you can get whatever information past the guard on duty on the left brain, it will get over to the guard on the right side, the right hemisphere, the right brain, to actually press the buttons, right? So if information comes in, or if there's trauma to the body, and the left side allows the information to get through, they're like, okay, left leg is paralyzed. If that information gets through to the right hemisphere of the brain and how it operates, because the right hemisphere controls the movements of the body, right? People who have strokes, things like that, when half the body collapses and stuff, is because that information has been transported to the right side of the brain, and the button that controls that was pushed and caused whatever happened. The information from the left side, they say, okay, paralyze this, that goes over there, paralyze this. Same thing with men, right? Listen, same thing with men when they get aroused, right? What happened? The brain, there's like this, whether it's, what's the word I want to use? It's hypnotized, right? The left brain is hypnotized, so to speak, or put at bay to get things across immediately, right? So, which is why in a sexual state, or being in a aroused state, which is why even if you practice sex magic or whatever, if you want to call it that, right? Or if you do prayers together with your husband and spouse, when you're in that mode, something happens and it causes you to hypnotize the soldier on watch on the left side of the brain. And just think about why people do stupid stuff, all for the sake of some booty, right? The guard on watch on the left side of the brain is hypnotized to get all messages through to the right side, right? They completely got him off off his watch. And so all information, if you can hypnotize the guard on watch, you can get all information in to the right side of the brain and change your world literally overnight, right? Or to accomplish immediately what needs to happen. Same thing. If you understand that principle, especially people who get into depression, you have to stop what's going into the right side of the brain. You literally have to trick yourself, trick your mind to bring things back into alignment. I think if that was explained better, a lot of time people be able to break themselves out of stupors and out of depression and just a lot of things, right? You could literally, even if you have, now I haven't personally done it, but I've read stories about people who have. Right. And even sometimes may not have been as sick, but understanding this principle, you just got to you got to trick your body to get the right information across so you can get up and get moving, even to work yourself out of a sickness. Right. Because if you get sick and you just do everything like sick people do, oh, woe is me, I'm just this. And you're helping the bad information that's going into the right side of your brain. You have to stop that immediately. Right. So people who don't fall prey to the words of doctors, I'm not going to say they're a little stronger than those who do fall prey to it, but in a sense they are. I'm not going to let, even if they're super religious, right? Even you'll see it working even with super religious people who still call on the name of Jesus. They're, even though they don't understand what they're doing, they're practicing a higher principle to where they don't fall prey to the negative impressions of other people. And so they don't get sick, right? Even they go and get the tests and stuff. Well, I believe by faith, my God is done. You know, I'm healed. I'm gonna act like I'm healed, right? And it just happens no matter what words, but it's the feeling, the thoughts that you have going on inside of you that'll keep you from falling prey to those negative things that are allowed to come in to the right side of your brain. Like, that is a real medical thing, y'all. Y'all really have to look into that. And if you go back to them videos a few months back before we started reading My Big Toe, that was the little CIA, the government knows this, y'all. Which is why the commercials and stuff, they understand how the brain works. Yes, the body believes, thank you, Robin. Your body believes your thoughts. You have to control what's up here in order to have it manifested out here. Like, seriously, right? You gotta snap yourself out of the spells that are being put on you on a daily basis. Y'all, this is so real. It will blow your mind, especially if you've been caught up into a lot of word spells and it seems like you just can't get one foot in front of the other, or things go from bad to worse for you. It's because you're allowing something to happen to you. You're being infiltrated with word spells, literally. Okay. Let's read this again. Listen, let's go back up to verse 4. Really, Audrey.
Got it correct.
Your eldest needs a charger.
No, I just need that. Jeremiah, I told you, give me yours.
Go, follow his instructions. Give him yours and I give you mine. Are you coming in, Isaiah?
No, but I'm just saying this.
Okay.
Nani, if you're watching this, hi.
Nani, he said if you're watching this, y'all come on, go.
I need the Type-C block.
You're right. That's why the placebo works. You're absolutely right. They know how the brain works. You just got to trick yourself, Audrey. I'll be praying for you, sis. Everybody pray for Audrey. She said, definitely need to try this because I'm sick now. Seriously, you have to trick your own self. And you have to, and I'll say in the words of a previous pastor. Okay, so here, listen. Okay. When I didn't quite understand this principle, but my pastor at the time taught this, not even using these words. He just used church lingo, but I tried it and it worked. But it's the same thing we're talking about now. So he was sick, right? And he went through a couple different things, being hospitalized and everything. But he was one of them ones with a strong mental fortitude, right? Whatever the doctor say, I don't care. I don't care that I can't walk and you got to push me around in a wheelchair. You know, God said I'm healed. I'm healed. And that's what he would constantly, every day. So he would do things. He wouldn't just lay around and just, woe is me, wait for people to come wait on him. He said, I believe I'm healed. So I'm going to begin acting like I'm healed. And he began to just daily, doing more and more, like trying to get up and move around. Eventually, he worked himself. It took months, but he never gave up the hope that he was completely healed. Even if it hadn't manifested here yet where you can see it, mentally, he saw himself healed. And so he moved accordingly until he was able to bring his body online, right? So with you constantly trying and thinking you need to trick the guard on watch in the left hemisphere of your brain, right? So you gotta tire him out to where he's no longer sending the wrong messages. But if you keep giving him the messages, look, I'm healed. Tell the right side, push the healed button for my body. I'm healed. You keep showing up every day. Eventually, you're going to get the attention, because it has to be like a repetitive message that comes to where the guard on watch, like, wait a minute, you must be getting a command. Let me go ahead and push this, because you keep coming every day. I better go and do something before I get in trouble, right? And eventually the guard on watch in the left side of your brain will allow the message to go through to the right side, the right guard on watch. Okay, because remember, whatever gets in on the right side, hold on. The guard on watch on the right side does not question anything. Because the guard, this is how I explain it, because the guard on the right side of your brain understands that the guard on the left side of your brain is trained extremely well, and they are not going to let through any shenanigans. They don't question what comes through the left side, which is why your major struggle, guys, hush, which is why your major struggle is with the left side. You have to trick him to let the information go through, because once it gets through to the right side is just going to press the button and follow orders. It's not going to question the orders that come in from the left side of the brain. You have to get the message past the left guard to the right guard so they can do it, right? Once the message gets there, that's when you begin to see the light of day, and your body will begin aligning with your thoughts. The right guard holds control over your thoughts, what goes through, and like what goes through, good or bad. If what's coming through is bad, oh, bad. Yep, kill the arm, kill the leg, the eyesight going to, what? Darn, what y'all, okay. Put out the left eye. Glaucoma it is. What? Slurred speech? Oh, bruh, slurred speech. Okay, this is all coming through. The right guard is not going to question the left guard. It's just going to press the buttons, and your body is going to follow suit. That's how I understand it. Somebody may be able to explain that in better medical terms. It's more, what you want to call it, politically correct. But that's how, as I studied it, that's what I began to understand. Right side is not going to question anything. Whatever information comes through from the left hemisphere of the brain, the right side will immediately follow suit. It'll cause it to happen. So, Audrey, I hope that helps. You gotta keep chomping at the bit with the guard on the left side of your brain, right? Do everything that shows you that your body is healed. Oh, I gave the, hush y'all, I gave the, Bella, close the door. I was telling you about the pastor because both of y'all go over there. Jeremiah, go. You two, go. Go to side. Bella, you come sit down and you going over there with him.
Say open the doors and him shut it on say.
Okay. Okay, go in. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the whole reason for telling you that is because to tell you my experience with when I first understood that although I didn't get the medical explanation, I just heard my pastor say it and I kind of caught what he was saying and I tried it. So most people of color are lactose intolerant, but I love ice cream, right? And so I couldn't, in my younger days, I couldn't eat anything. It would tear my stomach up. So going to this church for a little bit and the pastor talking about how he was healed from all these different types of diseases and things he had going on, robust, moving around, nothing wrong with him. And I'm like, So I listened to what he said. I'm like, and what he said, if you believe you're healed, act like you're healed, right? And that's it. Simple words, right? So he said, and here's how you test it. He said, go do something that you were not able to do before when you weren't healed, right? So I'm like, And I used something small. I really love ice cream and I wanted to eat ice cream, but I couldn't eat ice cream. He said, do something that you couldn't do before and believe you're here. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go. And that this time I was still active duty military too. I went to McDonald's and their ice cream machine was working that day, right? Look, So I went to McDonald's and I got me a hot fudge sundae with nuts on it, and I ate it. And I ate it while I was driving, right? And I knew I was going to be in the car for at least another hour because I was about to go somewhere else. So if something crazy happened, I would need to pull over, go to a gas station, bathroom or something. But you know what? I went up, I ordered it. And before I started eating it, I said, Father, Pastor said, do something that I couldn't do before. Well, I believe I'm healed from lactose intolerance. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to eat this ice cream. This is something I couldn't do before. So I'm going to act like I'm healed. And I ate that ice cream. You know, from that day, I've never had an issue. Auntie, don't it work? Do you know I've never had an issue from that day with ice cream? Even though, because I've changed, this was before I went plant-based. Even though now I change my choices and I will get dairy free because I try to just still steer away from all dairy because because it's not plant based. Even before I went plant based, from that time I've never had an issue eating ice cream, dairy, never. Because what happened was, I guess my pastor had preached it so much that it finally sunk in. And this one day I had a hankering for some ice cream, right? But I knew if I ate it before, I would have to stay close to a bathroom. I know that's disgusting, but people with lactose intolerance feel my pain. I was like, but I'm sick of this. I really love ice cream, right? I want some ice cream. I was like, you know what? Pastor said, act like you healed. Do something that you couldn't do before, and that's what I did. And do you know, it worked. It absolutely worked. Even to this day, I've never had another issue with being lactose intolerant. Why? Because once the message gets through, it's through, right? You don't have to fight that battle again, right? So although I haven't had I ain't have to fight that with like an injury or anything, but with something internal, it works. So I've tried it. It works. But people who have had physical things happen with them, you can see it. They do specials on people like that all the time. It's like they never give up. They keep moving. They keep going to physical therapy, whatever it is. Some takes longer than others, but it works. The message eventually gets through where the body begins to come online with the thoughts, right? Y'all, I'm telling you. Auntie, yes, it works. All right, let me finish this chapter. I said we're going to finish this. We should have been done so we could read this. Now we have 47 minutes. But we almost done. It's only 12 verses. Let me read verse 4. Okay. For this purpose, the Lewis shall select marriages with the view of raising up great kings and queens. But since in the olden time, oh my gosh. What? Are you coming in to sit down? Move your fingers. Are you coming in to sit down? What I tell you, don't come out that room if Jeremiah's not watching. Go there, sit down, and stay in here until I'm done. I'm almost done. And don't turn up my TV either. I'm sorry, y'all. But since in the olden time, the kings depended on the prophets of God for counsel, and thus were advised against killing anything I had created alive, they quarreled. So in this time of the new heaven, ye shall permit the kings and queens to consult the spirits of the dead with the talents I have given them. Bella, you got to turn it down some. This was done also, and the barbarians were attended by familiar spirits, many of whom took upon themselves any name pleasant to the ear, some of them calling themselves God or Lord, or after the name of some great king of the olden time. And these familiars, being stupid, supposed themselves to be such persons. The result of their stupid impressions was to inspire the barbarians to believe they were attended by gods or lords, or by the spirits of kings or queens, and so they held up their heads and began to think. For as it had been said by the gods of ancient times, some are led by flattery, some by self-conceit, some by duty, some by love of righteousness. There are others who can be led to self-improvement by persuading them they are chosen especially by some god or lord, or the spirit of a renowned king or queen to work wonders. God said, there was a certain sick man who could not be cured by the physicians. So there came a foolish woman, seeing visions, and said to the sick man, Tomorrow thou shalt be healed. God hath been trying thee, but thou hast proven thyself in soul, and thy God will withdraw the spell of thy infirmity. Behold, thy God standeth by thee. Now on the following day, the sick man put forth his own spirit, and rose up and was well. Wherefore it hath been adjudged, even deceit may accomplish what truth could not. Suffer then the familiars to lead the barbarians on for a season, but be ye watchful at the proper time to appoint new spirits to be with them. God said, instruct the lords that the time is now come to reveal to mortals, especially to the Ehenes, the 7 tetracts. For as the Ashars are withdrawn apace, so shall mortals advance apace. Bella. Shh. Which is to say, these are the inheritances of men born on earth. Anash, A-N-A-S-H, which is persistent stubbornness by word or thought. Zama, wicked device. Ra, delight in being bad. Belial, worthlessness. Avon, vanity and self-conceit. Dibba, slander and reporting of evils. And Satan, to be a leader, and especially to the delight of the other 6 entities. These are the members of the beast of all men and women under the sun. Nor is anyone without them in some manner or degree. Go ye, therefore, to the lords, and say to them, Jehovah hath set the beginning of the resurrection through Oahspe, his son, chief of the ark of Noah, to lay the tetracts on the shoulders of mortals. And this is the last verse. The marshals of the council provided messengers who were at once sent down to the different divisions of the earth, for the tetracts were some of the words selected in heaven to be given as everlasting names, whereby in after ages the tribes of Faithis might be discovered, and they were given alike to the Faithis of Gautama, Japheth, Shem, and Ham, who were the sons of the ark of Noah, preserved on the earth in that day. For these words were provided in the Hebraic, Vedic, and Algonquin languages to be synonymous till the coming of the Cosmic era. Bruh, wait a minute. Okay, so listen. So clearly now, I didn't get, okay. The Ark of Noah, right? And it has reference number 7 after the Ark of Noah. And down at the bottom, it says the Ark of Oahspe. So the Ark of Noah is the Ark of Oahspe, which is in the Bible story. We can line up the Bible stories under that particular God, which was Oahspe. And we read his book already, right? It was before Symphonies. Was it? Hold on. No, I'm sorry. No, it was the, we read it. Book of Oahspe. We in the Book of Oahspe. Okay, so it's doing this time. We're currently in the Book of Oahspe, Son of Jehovah. Okay, so the Ark of Noah, N-O-E, is the Ark of Oahspe. And Noah in the Bible here is N-O-E, but in the Bible it's Noah, N-O-A-H, right? So we can kind of align the times a little bit to what was going on, to what's here. But clearly, they left out Gautama still, right? And so they only tell us in the Bible, even as you transition to the Hebrew roots, they're still missing a part, right? Which was one of the main things that kept me searching in my search, looking for where the Americas were in all of this. Because in all of my studies, up until that particular point, it was only talking about the lands of Shem, Japheth, and Ham, right? But America wasn't included in that. I knew America had to be somewhere. America wasn't created later, because when y'all created the world, everything was created. So where was it at, and what was it called, right? Shalom, Lorette. Okay, so clearly we know It was 5 corners. Remember, Pan was sunk, right? So it was Pan, Gautama, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? And the names for Shem, Ham, and Japheth fall into the names of, I think it's page 17. Let's go page 17. I remember it. The lands. Waga, which is Pan. Jude, which is Asia. So it has Thori here, America, but Thori is, and I wrote it somewhere else, but Thori is Gautama, which is also America. And then you have Vohu, which is Africa, and then you have DIS, which is Europe, right? Okay. So you got to keep up with the names and keep them in line, because throughout time they just change different things and we kind of lose the track and we just get lost, right? Okay. All right, so you know we're gonna pause here today. Bella, you want to turn it off? We're just gonna pause here because we already at the 56-minute mark. So we're gonna pick up the meditation tomorrow. Yes.
Look, just click this button.
Stop pressing buttons.
It's a constant fan. It's not.
All right, y'all. That's it for today. I hope y'all enjoyed the reading. Let me see. Put my page number 78. All right, y'all. It is Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. It's been a very eventful video in my background. It is Monday, May the 9th, 2022, day 103 of year 4, reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets. And of the 48 consecutive day count, we are on day 1121. And we read the Oahspe pages 75 through 78. And we ended here today. All right, y'all. So thank y'all for hanging out. I hope y'all enjoyed it today. Especially our little, I don't want to really call it a rabbit trail. I think it was a needed side detour. Stop. Move, boy.
Can I end it sometimes? No.
First of all, you ain't even supposed to be over here. Bella, stop it. You gonna end it. Go on over there. You do the most. Look, stop. Pause that first. You're not gonna end anything. Cut it off.
He cut on his cousin's home.
Yeah, cut it off. All right, y'all. All right. May y'all continue to bless you in all that you do. May your day be blessed. Audrey, may the guard on the left side of your brain be hypnotized so the message that you are healed can be pressed by the buttons by the guard on the right.
Mom, so they trying in
may
your
you
video.
Be healed completely, fully, through and through, spirit, soul, and body, right?
Stop.
Okay.
Don't run in.
All right, y'all. So with that being said, be blessed today. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow, bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lindsay.
But get your hands
Thank you. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.